Mind over matter. Overcompensating. Overstatements. Crookedness related. A soul's churn in return. Mental overstimulation. One word. Riveting. It terrors my pilot. Streams that are promised to make seeking less.
Welcome back to Poetry Journal Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murdoch. We have a special guest today, good friend of mine, person I speak to on many occasions, so excited to have you on. Have a sit down, finally speak. Firstly, welcome to Part1 Journal, Mr. Dee Majek himself, poet, great poet, writer. I actually want to give you the just to speak about yourself, just to kind of, take it to where you want, because I know you do so many things. I probably don't even know some of the things that you do, but first, welcome to Part1 Journal. How are you doing?
Hi Alex, thank you for inviting me to Poetry Journal. I'm good. Been a long day, but we finally made it.
Absolutely. It's something that we were trying to cook for a while, but I'm glad that we finally had the chance to, sit down and speak. And just, give you a chance to pick your brains from a different perspective, I suppose you could say. All right. Before we go into anything, like I said, tell my audience about you and some of the things you do. Anything that you think. This is our poetry podcast, a platform. So anything that you think is relevant.
When we start, I was born in Lagos in Nigeria many moons ago. Came to England roughly when I was 7 years old. And that's really my journey into this blend of African culture and British culture. And in terms of who am I, at that time you don't realise that you had bi-cultures.
Yeah. And
it was just arriving here in the winter wonderland of 3 feet snow in January 1963 called the Big Freeze. And when the snow didn't melt for 3 months till the end of March.
Yeah.
And so it was like a white room. So it was like being in a white room, and then you met, not because you haven't seen English people before, but it's now living in Kent with the second black family ever to move into Kent, into part of the Bromley, and totally different culture, totally different food, hated the food, and that was it really. And when we're talking about poetry and English, everyone has somebody who sparks you, and my spark was my English teacher, Mr. Scott. He'd let me write anything. I remember writing about drinking with my friend and getting drunk at a very young age, and I wrote it in one of my essays, and he didn't seem to mind. So, but you all need the spark, and so Mr. Scott, rest his soul if he's still alive, I hope he is. He was like my mentor in terms of allowing me to write and get into writing. I've done lots of things. I started in the music industry when I was 17 years old, right off to Casablanca Records in America, and they said, we'd like you to come and help us promote music. And so that's how I got into the music industry. When I was 17, I was doing people like giving out records to all these DJs. I said I knew the DJs, but I didn't. So it was more about being sort of innovative, and also showing people that you can get to know people, and you can manifest these things. And so that's how I got into the music industry really, and I did all the Casablanca things from Cameo. By the way, I wrote Cameo.
Tell it.
With a song called It's Serious in front of 3,000 people at Global Village. So Cameo wasn't really broken in the UK, as some people say in the 80s. It was actually in the 70s. Also, I did things like Donna Summers, the film Thank God It's Friday, Brooklyn Dreams, Parliament, all the things at Chocolate City. And then I got to meet all the DJs, and from meeting all the DJs and giving music out to all the DJs, I got to meet all the artists, and I got to meet all the producers. I go places like Gulliver's, I met Roy Carter from Heatwave, and all the members of Heatwave, including Rob Templeton, used to sit around the tables, used to drink with them. Roy Templeton wrote all the Michael Jackson songs. He was from England, from Hull, and so you'd sit with him. And then I had the fortune to be able to sit with the Jacksons when they came over. And Graham Cantor was the DJ. I used to get into Gulliver's really early because I used to supply music to the staff, including the owner, Phil Tipper and everything. And I got to meet people like the Jacksons, Marvin Gaye, and lots and lots of artists. But I finished up meeting Roy Carter, who was a member of Heatwave, and that's how I got into songwriting with him, and get into the music industry that way in terms of songwriting. And from there, it's just, I always used to write poetry and songs, and then from there it just manifested into, later on, I started writing more creatively, and that's when I saw this wonderful article on this chap called Dr. Len Garrison, who is the sort of one of the founders of UK Black Archives and Cultural Centres. So if you look in Brixton, where they've got the Cultural Archives Centre, there used to be a statue there, and that statue was Len Garrison. And Len Garrison used to say that our job is to be the tree that people grow the roots from, and then from the roots you allow all these saplings and seeds to grow from you. And he did that very well, and including having the Black Writers Awards. He used to have the awards for young black poets and black storytellers, and he also used to showcase people, and he also helped me get my work out there into the Caribbean Times, the Nation, and the Asian Times. And one of my poems, The Gulf, was in the 80s, the Carnival poem. And so it was good. I used to go to the Brixton Black Writers workshops, and used to go to their workshops and also be part of that back in the 80s before the Brixton riots. And so that's how I got into poetry, and then was at college, at university, and then from there basically started thinking about writing music and getting involved in music on my own. And then I used to write songs, and did a song called Live and Learn, and After Love Has Gone with Roy Carter, and that finished up now. It's one of the UK classics. It sells for about £200 to £350 for a copy of the song. Then it was really, then I moved into having my own label, and then I was lucky to go into project management, and project management gave me the money to actually go and get involved in music in a bigger way. And then
what's the name of the label?
I used to have a couple of labels, and the one at the end of the day, what happened was that initially it was basically myself doing just remixes. So I did like 200 something odd remixes, and I shipped them all off to America. And then Hot 97 and some other stations, WBLS especially in America, said they loved it. And then Funk Master Flex, who's like one of the top DJs in America at the time on Hot, his sidekick said I should come to America, and he would.
He's still that guy right now, isn't he?
Yeah, Funk Master Flex is still around, and he said, that come over. Big Cap said, come over to America, like similar to what's his name, the comedian who said Coming to America.
Oh, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, this African coming to America. I turned up with my sisters at the airport. We got pulled aside by Homeland Security.
And what year was this?
This was about 1999.
Jeez.
And then I finished up living in West 52nd Street, opposite Mayor Julian's mansion, and that was the start of where I was lucky that I was going along with all these rappers, Old Blaze, giving credit to do, and my sister introduced me to we used to go to these parties and everything, and they seem to love the British voice and accent. And I managed to get into parties that I shouldn't really be allowed into. So I managed to finish up with the Anti-Pop Consortium, which is the group who used to produce. They finished up. They were touring with Common, The Roots,
big hitters, man.
Jay with the Damager, also the girl group on Jazzy Jeff's label, Jazzy Fatness, I think they're called, and so they were going on to also finished up there, and that was at SOB's, and Sherry Springer turned up that night. From there then I got invited. I finished up going to the Electric Ballroom, and it was Tribal Quest last night. Before they split up, and everybody was there outside. I met Jay Dillon, and I also met Slum Village. I met the Black Eyed Peas when there were only three of them, and they all started saying, "Would you like to come here? Would you like to come here?" And then also my mixes allowed me to go to the management for Soul for Real. I also went to meet Nile Rodgers down at West 52nd Street with his people there, because they liked one of the mixes I did. And it was a great experience, because I got to meet lots of people in America, and also some of the Lee the Third, who just produced Erykah Badu, and he got Grammy for Erykah Badu, and then he was now also working with Mary J. Blige, and a song called Not Looking, finished up with Casey from Jodeci on there. After they'd taken Joe and also David Hollister off it. So I got to meet a lot of people, but the other thing I got to meet was poverty. I went to America with all this money. I lost it all, came back with a white collar around my neck. to marzipan.
Oh man.
And a life of stress. Yeah, because I couldn't even look at a cash point. So, but the good thing that came out of it was that even though I lost all this money and I was thousands in debt, I had all these contacts in America who said, "What is it do you want? Can they help you?" And that's how Matt Records came about, because I was working with all these artists and all these producers in America who said, "Tell us what you want." And some of them were all finished up being some of the next load of producers who became really some of the top producers. So that's how I got into there. And then with there we started Matt Records, and with my partner Stacey, who I met, and then later on Teresa Patterson. And we had things going on in Atlanta. We finished up having a studio in North Carolina, and we did really well with Matt Records for 9 years. We got into the UK charts, worldwide hits. We had Metropolis, we had artists, and everything. And then, like every great thing that don't ever trust your partners.
Oh dear.
Who run off with your money.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so the whole empire came crashing down one day, and had to start again with scratch on my own. And then I decided that I was never working with artists. I'm going to create myself as the artist and build my own band. And I built Key Jam, and then that became really huge, and got 18 cities of America playing the music, and got a deal in Japan with license to P-Vine Records, and like with all great empires, the people who you have working with you, it's important to have the right people around you, because the people around you get a bit how can I put it?
Is it envy?
It's they think they do more than you do. They think they're contributing more than you do, and they are the.
They think they're more pivotal
to
you than
you're
you are.
you're the creative behind it, but they think they've done more than the person who creative, who's the creative, who come up with all the ideas and everything. But it's all a good experience. I think that in total everybody should have experiences. I'm not saying that you should have experiences where it takes you near destruction, financial destruction, and mental destruction. But it takes you to that sort of realms. But then a few years ago, I decided it was quite interesting, really, because I decided to get back into the poetry one day about 18 months ago, and that's after a little split up in my relationship with my partner at the time, which everything's now healed, in terms of the children and everything. Yeah. But it's now turned out that it's allowed me to now go and pursue things I like in terms of the arts and poetry and everything. And I've also found my appreciation of being African.
Oh. That's interesting. You say that. It's like you're somewhat as a rediscovery process going on.
Yeah, it's a rediscovery process because, I think that a lot of families, from the Windrush generation, also to my parents' generation who came from Nigeria and others, that being African wasn't really seen as a sort of a good look.
The market was a little bit off, you say.
And it's not that, no, it's just generally, and it's like, my real name is, for example, Oladisan Olufemi Ojose Majek, right? But I used to call myself Dee Majek or just Dee, and it's like, African people used to hide around the sort of like a shortened English name, and now, to me, that's been a huge mistake in my life. I should be, I should be proud of who I am. I should be proud of who I'm called, why I'm called it, and and I think maybe it's because people see Afrobeat now, and a lot of the stars out there, from Dave, Stormzy, also the rappers from North London, Skepta, they're all Nigerian, Ghanaian, even people like the boy in the corner. I'm trying to remember his name.
There's a few of them.
The one the chap who did the boy in the corner. I can't remember. He had lots of hits, and he was part of Skepta's and all that. And
you talk about his brother?
No, not JME, but it's what's his name from East London. He's just recently come back again. I can see his face and everything. I'm trying to
Kano?
No, Kano is from Newham, but his father is, and I used to work
together. No, you said East, that's what I was thinking.
No, it's Dizzy Rascal.
Oh, Dizzy! Oh,
Dizzy Rascal. Yeah, Dizzy Rascal. And, so now it seems that, and also now you've got all the people like Wizkid, Davido, Reme,
Evolution,
and Burna Boy. Now everybody is happy to be African, celebrating the African culture and the food, the food restaurants and everything. But back when I was growing up in the 60s, especially when you're living in a you're not living in a multicultural area, you're living in a totally white area, you sort of, and your parents are sending you to, sort of English European schools, your perception of being, your Africanness gets sort of pushed into the background.
Somewhat dormant.
And it's not celebrated. And I think that's a problem. I don't think the problem is around as much now. It still is, but I think we should all be proud of where we come from and celebrate where we come from. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of families, it's like my father decided that he'd never, you can imagine, love my father and everything to bits, but can you imagine your parents deciding that you'd never speak your own language? And even though you were born in the country, you had to go to an international school, not a school. And I used to learn Yoruba by speaking, because my dad is chauffeur, somebody would talk to me in the language, but my parents would never. And then it's like when we come over to England, my mother and father would talk in Yoruba as it's like a secret code. And but you knew what they were talking about but they never ever taught you. Can you imagine that? Why are we as black families not? I'm not saying all African families are like that, but why are we as black families not embracing culture, not embracing the clothes, not embracing the food, not embracing your extended families and everything?
Absolutely. I think for me, from what you're saying, I've experienced somewhat similar things, and it's a certain disassociation I noticed, and it's the same thing in the Caribbean. There's a lot of people that have when they transition from like the Caribbean to here, they change quite a lot, and somewhat don't try to forget where they come from. It's not necessarily good to see, but I think sometimes you try your best to understand. You never agree, because we understand, in hindsight, it doesn't bode well for you down the line, because eventually you're going to understand that it doesn't make sense to do that. You're denying who you are, in essence, but it runs deep. But stick a pin. Let me share something, and then I have questions for you. It says, just a quote for today. It says, "A premise is a beautiful thing when you can nourish, watch it take hold and flourish like old smiles at the bedsit. Reemit my sounds like I'm smitten in the hay, a stable boy, child looking to face the world, destined not to be afraid. Wanted for me and life, thus we tug at the cold and embrace strife, doing to be better no matter what the head base splatter. Working for the latter, for the beginning for men is nothing but scatter, like a diagram of no plan. Got to grow to seesaw, then understand not to abscond. The real is beautiful, it's a beautiful thing, like the darkness amid sin. To feel alive, even if it meant taking your life, to do for the times, tell your history, even if it means crooked rhymes. The jury dictates that my takes may polarize, but they may be swallowed in time. Healing takes time, thus conscience is hidden in temporal slime. What to do with mine? I think it's best to take the journey, thus these thoughts may never seem benign." Just a little quote for today.
Yeah, I like that. And the thing that you said, that I believe that everybody has to manifest. I believe that everybody, if you manifest something and you believe in it, it happens. Yes. And I think you've also got to have this sort of positive manifestation of what it is that you're wanting and how's it going to happen, and the more you manifest it, the more you believe it.
Yes.
The more it happens for you, and the more it happens for you. And also, it's the thing about, regardless of all your trials and tribulations with it, that goes with it, or all the obstacles in your way, as long as you're resilient, you always get there. It doesn't mean, some people think it's a quick fix. It's a quick way that you get somewhere, but if it's the long haul, then it's the long haul.
It's a long haul.
Because when your time comes, it will come.
Yes. That's the one thing I've kind of understood. But there's a rule of thumb to everything that we're speaking about. Is and the biggest thing, the rule of thumb is positive mental attitude.
Yeah, gotta be positive. Not negative. If you want to succeed, learn the recipe.
Yeah, and underneath that it's enthusiasm. You got to be enthusiasm about what you're doing. Just speaking about performing wise, I see a lot of people on the stage, and I think you lose so much when you stop being enthusiastic.
Agree. I think that I can't speak for other people. I can only speak about myself.
Yeah.
My thing is that I'm passionate about this. My thing is that when I wake up in the morning, I'm always writing. My thing is that I'm always thinking, if I'm on the bus, on the train, I'm always writing. Even when I see, like the other day, I was on the train, this chap came along and he started saying to everybody, I am the technician.
Yeah.
I've got the antidote to your poison flowers.
Yeah.
There's me scribbling away. And it's like when I look down at people's shoes on the train, I'm writing about their shoes and everything.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be passionate about it. And also, as you said with the performance, some people, from observations, is that they're not really being themselves. They're thinking, this is what people want to hear.
Yes.
Rather than, this is me.
This is me who I am.
Yeah, this is who I am. This is who I'm trying to be. Yeah. This is my real authentic self. And I don't really care what other people think. Because at the end of the day, this is me and this is how I portray myself. Yeah. Rather than saying, oh, well, I need to do this to get this, or I need to do that to get that. And then it becomes a chore rather than something of passion or something that flourishes within yourself and grows. And it's from this performance, as we're talking about performance, I think from this performance it's really for a lot of people a mental healing.
Yes. Therapy.
It's like a therapy, I won't share these secrets with my parents, but I'm happy to share it with strangers that I don't know. And it unlocks a lot of things people want to express, but they can't do it. But they can do it in writing. I've heard some really horrific stories that people have come out and said, but they wouldn't normally say it in any other sort of context, in any sort of background.
Agreed.
But it's to each his own. But the most important thing is just be you, and just because you're being you, and a lot of people don't get you, you have to keep on being you, and then in the long run, people will get you. Otherwise, you will then change to be something you're not. I remember being at one of the events where this young man came along and he did this fantastic poem. He started talking about not having a ticket on a train, but he was doing it in a way of metaphors, as if he was talking about Greek mythology. And he was more upset that people didn't get his poem than the fact that he was reading it for himself and expressing himself on what he felt, and this is how he wants to convey it. He was more upset that everybody didn't get it. And the question, but the question at the end of the day is, it's like,
what are you doing it for?
Is this the right audience that you're pitching it to?